What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. This week I want to talk about if we're going to actually get this Order 1886 sequel, really what's going on with it. And what I want to do, I kind of want to split this video up into two parts. The first part, I'm going to go over purely what we kind of learned or what has been floating around the internet over the past couple of days. And then the second part, I'm going to give my impressions, my analysis of it. So we have a writer from Sucker Punch who was interviewed on a podcast, and he was talking about, and this is a writer on Ghost of Tsushima. He's currently working on that. And he formerly worked on the Assassin's Creed Odyssey game. And he was talking about a future game in the Order 1886. And he had even talked about and said he doesn't know if it's called 1887 or, whatever, but that they were working on it, or they are working on it. He was then cut off by the host of the show to kind of clarify, like, wait, do you mean that? And he basically said that that's the last thing he's heard of. And it's a little confusing because the kind of phrase, like, it's the last thing he's heard, it doesn't make it clear. And I know since then he's posted even on Twitter that he basically meant, well, he sees internet rumors too, and he's seen all these articles over the past year talking about how they could be making a sequel, how a sequel could be in development. So he's just going based off that. He didn't mean that he had heard something from that studio. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's the news of the Order 1887 or whatever it's called. The question here is there more to the story? Is the 1886 actually getting a sequel? And I think initially, without me even thinking about it, you tell me that, I'm going to believe you. I'm going to say that, you know what? I feel like that's definitely a possibility that could be happening. When I really think about it, I really hope it's not true. And I'll tell you why. The Order 1886 was a game that I believe is the exact same as what a lot of people were saying when that game came out. I bought that game day one. It was a game that was massively flawed, way too short, very generic, but had loads of potential. Okay, that's pretty much what everybody said. This game came out in February of 2015. This was one of Sony's first exclusive games for the PS4, and it's, to this day, I'd say the only flop. And I was even thinking about the Sony exclusives a couple days ago or even a couple weeks ago, and I routinely forget the Order even happened. I traded it in. I don't even have it anymore, but I bought it day one. I played it with my friend Nick the day it came out, and we beat it, I believe, that day or the day after, because we played like two-hour segments of it, and we were done. And again, to me, it's what everybody said. The gameplay, the actual gun combat, it had a couple. It had like the Resistance kind of vibe with the different guns, but it didn't have enough of them. It didn't give them to you in a nice enough fashion where you constantly felt like you were getting new weaponry. So it didn't do that all that well, or even well in the first place. The combat in general, like the hiding mechanics popping out, it felt like they were trying to do the Gears of War thing, right? The graphics looked amazing. Okay, the graphics were the best part of that game by a mile. The story certainly had potential. The world they were building 100% has potential to continue. And obviously, it ended on a cliffhanger, pretty much of establishing that we want to make a second one. That game sold decently well. And, when I heard that, I was thinking, Sony's going to let them make an 1887 or whatever. But for some reason, Sucker Punch seems to have abandoned the infamous franchise for Ghost of Tsushima. Now, and here's the thing. I know Sucker Punch is not Ready at Dawn. I understand that. And I know that Ready at Dawn also got help from Sony Santa Monica. But, when I'm thinking about it, it's like, I don't know if Sony is going to do that with their IPs. These games, they're all Sony IPs. Sony owns the rights to all of them. So, like a Bloodborne, that's Sony's. Yes, From Software made it, but that is now a Sony franchise. They could technically let anybody make a Bloodborne 2. The Order 1886, that's Sony's now. They don't need Ready at Dawn. They could make another studio do it, or they could just drop the franchise altogether. It just makes me kind of upset because I have been thinking about like an Infamous 3 or just another Infamous game over the past couple days, and then I see this rumor, and it's like, they would let a game that got one game, but really, mismanaged and just not a good game at all. they would let them have a second chance rather than Infamous. I don't know the story behind Sucker Punch. I don't know the story. I believe personally that they were making an Infamous game and it was canceled to then move on to Ghost of Tsushima. But it doesn't sound like Sony. Sony's pretty darn smart with their IPs. Sony's very smart with their studios. The Order 1886 was a fun thing. Okay, it was fun leading up to it. People definitely knew there were some warning signs about that game going into it. But we just weren't. I don't think we were all prepared at the time for what that game would be. But it was fun while it lasted. It was fun with the lead up to it. Definitely, I still believe it's one of the better looking games out there. It really does. I mean, the graphics of that game do look very, very well. I would be interested to know in what Ready at Dawn is doing in general. Okay, so maybe they're making a different game altogether. That'd be fine. I'm sure they are working on some sort of game since then, but I just don't see, I don't know why that would be a franchise that you continue, because at this point, look, we're at the end of 2019 here, not technically the end, but pretty much. I mean, games don't release in December for the most part, besides like one big game a year, let's say. So you pretty much just have September, October, November. It's not coming out, and then you have next spring, and we already know Sony's got games like The Last of Us, Nioh 2, Ghost of Tsushima, so you're not fitting the Order sequel into that. And then at that point you're in the PS5, and is the Order a franchise that you want for the PS5, and you say, hey, remember this, this was an exclusive we had for the PS4, you remember it was one of our new ones, it was a game that was teased for a while, remember that game, and then it didn't do very well, we have a sequel coming out, and it's coming out for the PS5, so like, I don't know. I don't think the second one would sell. I see potential, and I understand, and I think I get when games have potential, and I want to give all games truly, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. A game like Days Gone, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I think that's a average to an above average game that if there's a sequel, a Days Gone 2, I would buy. I would buy day one, and I think a large majority of people that bought Days Gone would also buy Days Gone 2 and help support it. With The Order, I get that there's potential there, and I would like to see one day maybe what that potential is, but I wouldn't see myself supporting it on day one, and I see a lot of people that originally bought the first game, I don't think they would jump in to help the second game out, so I don't think that would be a smart move. I think people would be very interested in it. They'd be like, oh, let's see how improved it would be. But I feel like it'd be like a buyer's beware thing where people wouldn't, like, they wouldn't touch it. They'd be like, well, I'm going to wait for somebody else to buy it. And that person's saying, well, I'm waiting for somebody else. And it just goes on like that where I don't think somebody would buy this game. Obviously it would sell copies, but I don't think it would sell enough to warrant there being a sequel. At this point, you want to just make a brand new game. You can say you're from the developers of The Order, but hopefully you're hoping that people don't remember what that game is, and you move on with your life. So, weird for the Sucker Punch writer to say. The way he said it, I understand he's backtracked. I understand he's now said that, he's talking only about things he's basically seen on the internet, just like all of us. But if you're a writer for a Sony exclusive studio, and you're talking about another exclusive game and an exclusive studio, you gotta watch what you say a little bit better than that, because the way he said it, I believe, totally comes off as he's been talking to people there, and he knows something from in there that they're working on this game. It didn't, to me, that's how I read it. I don't read it as he was seeing articles online. Do I believe him? Kind of. The gaming industry lies a lot. That's kind of what they do. They do that mainly in these kind of situations. They do that just to hide their game from being known. They want to, Sony wants to be the first one to announce it. They want to be the first one to put this out there as a trailer and have people see it. They don't want the news broken before it by somebody else. They want to be the ones to announce it. So, they'll lie. People will lie and say that, they said something, but they meant it some other way. So is it possible he's lying and they really are working on a sequel? Yeah, it is. I'd put it at like a 75% chance that they're not and 25% chance that they are. I do feel like he shouldn't have said that. Like, there is something more to it possibly. But at the same time, I just struggle to believe that Sony would let a sequel to this kind of game go on, when in my mind I think that would make people upset. If that happens, if there is a sequel, I'll be upset because I'll be asking, where's the next Infamous? Where's Resistance? Bring back Resistance 4 and I guarantee you will sell more than the 1886 or the sequel of it. Make the next Infamous game, I guarantee you'll sell more than the Order 1886 or the sequel. Okay, I guarantee it. So like, I would just be upset because I would want them to make other games. Make a Bloodborne 2. Why would you have a sequel to The Order when Bloodborne also came out that same year? And I mean, if you took a poll, I wonder what the stats would be of who would want either one's sequel. So that's just my opinion, though. Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think we're getting a sequel to The Order 1886? Do you think it makes sense? All that kind of stuff. Let me know, and make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel podcast. Now hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you as always for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.